Well, yeah, thank you. It was an experience. It's all about creating experiences for our student athletes, and it will be an experience they'll never forget, good, bad, or otherwise. And put one in Tom's book that hopefully will be published in the next couple of years, so we can get some more money for the Hard Rock Club or whatever we got to do with your book. But uh, it will be a full chapter for that week. But I do want to thank Larry as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that with especially the last game when we were down in Arizona, and just how incredible it was being down there with the sport we had and that kind of thing. But we got a chance to meet some of the old players, and they got to talk to some of our guys. And I was kind of worried about some of that, and you want your team to perform so well, especially when you're at home and you have people that are supporting us, and you get on the road once in a while. It's just, we know how hard it is to play on the road and those kind of things, but you still want to perform well. But then all of a sudden you got the pressure of playing on the road, and a bunch of alumni, they don't get to see you play very very much, if at all. And you want your kids to go out and perform, and like we tell everybody all the time, at least they're going to play hard and compete and that kind of thing. But to give them the three games that we gave those guys, I think is a tribute to our guys, and the way they came ready to go. Because as much as it is physical, they're 18, 22-year-olds. It's not that big a deal. They can go out and perform, and whatever, kick them off the bus, and 2 minutes later they're ready to go. They don't have to stretch out for 45 minutes like I do now, and those kind of things. But the mental part of it sometimes can get to you, no matter what age you are, and oftentimes if you haven't done that before, get to the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds even more. And it never did. Those guys just came out and competed, and they knew they had an opportunity to play a game of basketball, do something they love, and went out and did a great job. So the whole road trip started basically, 3 games. We had 8 games in a row on the road, and looking at the schedule, it was going to be a nightmare, and it could have been a lot worse, wins and losses. Maybe could have been a little bit better, as we found out. But more importantly, they got through it, and we're just did exactly what we needed them to do, and a lot of that was just playing hard and competing. So, like I said, we won 2 of the 3 out in Billings and Dickinson. I know we've talked about that after that, but that was kind of the start of it. Practiced for a couple days over finals, gave them a few days off, and then came back getting ready for this road trip, and went down to Fort Hays and Kearney. And I couldn't even tell you what the heck happened in that game. I mean, we've been preparing for these games every night. We finally get done. The coaches are up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for the next game and travel and all those kind of things. So I know Fort Hays, just the environment that they have out there. Unbelievable facilities, and it's almost like D1. So when we're out there, like Barb was talking about, with the bands playing, and just bunch of stuff going on as far as activities and things. So pretty cool atmosphere for them, but very good teams. And we lost by, I think, 20 in one of them and 10 in the other. But guys, we're kind of just getting their legs back and getting a good feel. We knew it was going to be tough anyway. But the one good thing that came out of there was AJ did break Mitch's all-time three-point field goal record. And we were pretty excited for him. I know he didn't say much about it, a lot because we lost. And I know it's as important to him to win some games as it is anything. But it was pretty cool, like with Hillary, to have a chance to break some of the records. So, but then moving forward to the trip after that, we went down to Fort Hays and Kansas, and then stayed over in Sydney, Nebraska for a night. Drove down to Denver, flew out of Denver into Arizona, drove from Arizona to California, another 6-hour drive in some vans, and that was on the 31st, and then had a day off on the 1st, and got a chance to go practice and do some things on the 1st, and get ready for an Azusa Pacific team that I think they've lost like 5 games at home in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, something ridiculous. And last time we were down there, we lost by 30, I think, even more than that. But I think 30 points, and we had one of the best teams I've ever coached here. We made it to the conference championship game. We had just beaten the number 2 team in the country at home, and all this and all that, and we had gone down there and got drilled a couple times. So we know how good they are. They're leading the Pac West, which is a D2 conference out there. They're 2-0 right now, and I think they won by 20 against a Fresno Pacific team after we played them. So they're a legit big time D2 team. When we played them a few years ago, they were NAI 1 and winning national championships, or being in the Final Four basically every year. So we knew it was going to be tough, and then we go into that game and got down a few points a couple different times, and just found a way to win. When it came out to the end, and we're down one, and Dennis gets it kicked out to him, and shoot, I think that was his only shot of the game, if I remember right. I never really thought of that. He shot his one shot of the game and it went in. So, we ended up going up and had to get a couple stops or a stop at the end, and guys found a way to get the stop. So, like I said, that's one of the biggest wins in our program in my mind, just because of how good they've been and what we'd gone through to get to that point. Then the next night, we got to go to a Westmont team, which is, in top 5 in the country. Done a great job this year playing at home and, yada, 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 and down by 12, 15 points, felt like almost the whole game, and all of a sudden we're down 10, 12 points with about a minute to go, and we just gave one more effort to go, and literally everything went perfect for us. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, other than we maybe could have got a steal versus a fall one time, but they ended up missing the free throw, so it ended up being like a steal anyway. But I think in those 7, 8 possessions, whatever it was, we got one steal, and we scored basically every time that we needed to, including a layup at the end. We didn't call a timeout, just played off of the miss and knew what set we were running for a 3. If we didn't need a 3, we needed to run a 2. And to be honest, this year's team, with how young we've been and lack of being able to practice with a lot of 3-game weeks and all that kind of stuff, is we haven't typically by now, we've worked 3 to 4 times a week on last minute situations, and we're just working so hard to try to be able to get to last minute situations and not being down by 20 points. So we haven't spent a lot of time on that. I mean, maybe a handful the entire year, where that's usually what you do at the end of practice all the time. So for those kids, for us to call a timeout and say, hey, this is what needs to be done, boom, 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 and for them to go out and execute it was pretty cool. I mean, I just kind of shook my head. And granted, a lot of it had to do with Westmont. They missed, I think, 7 free throws in a row, and but we still had to step up. We had a couple threes. Shockman hit a couple jumper. I mean, it was just, everything was perfect. So go through all that. We get into overtime, and then I think, I don't even know if we had a lead until 3 minutes into overtime, maybe early on in the game, but our first lead in the whole night was maybe a couple minutes in overtime. And then all of a sudden, we're up 1, and they miss another free throw. We get the rebound. There's 3.9 seconds, get the rebound, move around a little bit. Finally, they foul us, and only 0.7 went off the clock. So they still had 3.1 seconds left, and, I can only argue so much. And they went and talked to the timekeeper and yada, yada, yada. But they have 3 seconds. We missed the second free throw on purpose, and they got to go the full length of the court. And they went halfway and ended up hitting a half-court shot that rolled around, hit off the backboard, and then went in. So you go through all that, and, I could explain every play for 20 minutes. Bottom line is, their kid made a play at the end. And I can't say enough about our guys to get to that point. But then to lose, it was kind of nice in a way. I don't want to say this too good, but it was nice in a way to see how mad the kids were about it. We have a kid, Troy White, too, that has a chance to be one of the best players that's ever played here, athletically, physically, just a bunch of different things. And he's still a freshman. He's got a long ways to go. There's no question about it. But talent-wise and ability-wise, he's got a chance. Well, he had 18 points and hit some 3, and he did what he's capable of doing in that game. And he had his family there, and it's pretty cool to see. But sometimes when you get done with those games, not just here, but anywhere in athletics, you get done with those games, and he's fine. He's smiling and happy and all that kind of stuff because he did well, but the team lost, so it didn't really matter. Well, for him, he was as mad as anybody. And when I saw that, when we got done, I'm like, this kid has a chance to be really good, because it is still about the team as well as he did individually, in front of his family, all that kind of stuff. He could have just went, oh, yeah, well, I played well. Stinks we lost, but wasn't the case with him. So we got guys like that in our program right now, and I'm very excited about that. Then 2 days later, then we jumped on the bus, went back to 2.5 hours, back to LA, got up the next morning, went to Arizona, got in about 6 p.m., jumped off the vans and went and practiced. And until we went into practice, even the first half an hour of practice, the guys were still kind of their heads down and that kind of thing. And but once we got going, they got a basketball in their hand again, got around the guys that they just, blood, sweat, and tears with. Next thing you know, we had one of the best workouts that we've had all year. And I knew we had a chance against Arizona Christian, which was 10-1 going in. Very, very good team. One of the top teams in the country as well at that level. They're at NAIA 1. And they have a chance to win a ton of games. So I was kind of going, holy cow, is this? Everybody, all they want to do is get home. Well, we got done with that workout, and I'm like, hey, we got a chance. I'm excited as ever. And sure enough, we get there. It was a 1 o'clock game, so got up early, had breakfast, which was our pregame. Went to the game, and didn't start out like we should have, could have. We got a couple injuries. Didn't know if the Trenopole kid was going to play. Kelvin didn't play. Knew it was going to be difficult that way, but god darn it, those kids just did what they needed to do. But the best part of the whole thing, and getting back to Larry, being there and getting a bunch of people together, and I know Tom had talked to a couple people, met with some people prior to there, and a couple of our players. The Schmitzes were there, Casey Schmitz, those guys that knew of him from a few years ago, and he's down in med school in Texas, but he was back visiting his parents who have a place there now, and all those guys show up. So we're doing starting line, not even right before starting lineups. They're just welcome to the gym, and tonight's event or this afternoon's events with the South Dakota School of Mines Hardrockers. And honestly, the whole place got up and cheered, and whatever. And we were just talking about it now, and there had to be over 100 and some people. And it wasn't a very big gym. They're all sitting on one side because there wasn't bleachers on the other side. And it was just people going nuts over there. And they said, and your Arizona Christian Firestorm or whatever. And it was just like, 2 claps or whatever. And the announcer even started laughing. I mean, it was he was trying to, and we're gonna do the starting lineups or whatever. And he was still chuckling under his breath, just going, "Holy cows, who are these guys? And why are there so many supporters out there?" So that was one of the coolest things in my career, to be somewhere. And you talk about the Nebraskas and even the NDSUs that went down to the national tournament game, and the whole stadium's gold and blue, or I don't even want to say gold and green. I hate saying gold and green, but that's a BH issue, I guess. But gold and green down on one end, and it was fun to have that same atmosphere that we had. And I told the guys, we went to the locker room, and I'm like, this is a home game. I mean, this is as good a crowd as we're going to have at home, and let's take advantage of it and give a good performance. And the guys were ready to go, and they were pretty excited. Won that game by 10 points. AJ did play in that game. I think he had 16, 18 points. Caleb Schockman had 21 and 9 rebounds, something like that. And now tonight is their last game, so we're going to lose our 2 leading scorers, our leading rebounder, obviously 2 starters, and we got to have a way for other guys to step up and fill in those spots. So we're excited about the game tonight. Give those guys more opportunity to, one, with AJ, play as a Hardrocker. His whole career is going to be done. Caleb will obviously be back next year, but hopefully we can go out on a high note and play a good Valley City team that's 12-3 or something like that on the year, ranked in the top 20 in the country, and got a couple of very, very good players, and we're going to have our hands full, as we will the rest of the year, not only with those guys, but especially not having them now too. So that's kind of our trip. Don't mean to rattle on too much, but it was a good experience for them. Every wrong turn that we took in the LA and Phoenix area, and ended up seeing neighborhoods that we'll never ever see again. We just kept saying every time Coach Glenn took a wrong turn, this is an experience he's putting us on. It's not because, it's the mental toughness he's trying to get us through. We're seeing neighborhoods we'd never see. But we got a chance to go to Hollywood, see the stars. James Dean, that's the only thing you wanted to see, is see a star on the ground. So, they all got to see James Dean's star, so his claim to fame out there. But yeah, other than that, we got a chance to go to the beach and do a couple other things. But it was a fun experience for the guys, but it was long. We got a chance to take the day off yesterday, which I was just telling somebody on the way in is I don't think I've ever taken a day off before we played a game, but we needed a day off, and coaches as well as the players. So hopefully we can come out and be good tonight. Any major questions?
Andrew Regal, I thought in the second half he was really part of got the ball into him, and he used his size. It's really important.
Oh, no question. And Andrew, we've been talking about him all year. We talked about him starting out the year as having a little bit of an ankle injury, a big ankle injury, and coming back from a major knee surgery, and all this kind of thing. And we needed him to be very good, especially the second half of the year without having Shockman in there. But he's had 3 or 4 games where he's been as good as anybody. And, even in the Kearney Fort Hays game, he was really good. You kind of got to see signs of what he's capable of doing. But we did. We finally said, the heck with this. We got to go to our bigs. And Connor Koulis was a big part of that too, because he was making the passes into those guys. We don't, with some of the stuff that we run and some of the sets, is our 4s have to make passes to the 5s, and oftentimes you think the guards are the better passers, get them involved. Well, you don't get as much pressure sometimes from the foreman, so our 4s are making the passes, and he made perfect passes to Andrew, and Andrew did what he's been taught, and sealed the guys well, and did a great job. But he's got to be really good here in all these next 10 games, because he's our option 1, 2, and 3 right now, and then hopefully we can get Connor to step up and play some good minutes, and Justin Shuck, because we're going to need those bigs. Kelvin was in yesterday. I haven't talked to him today, but in with the trainers yesterday, and he's got a pretty good dinged up ankle, and I assume he's not playing tonight. I assumed AJ wasn't going to play the other night too, and he had 16, and probably could have played the whole game, except he asked me to come out on the defensive end. These are our kids. Coach, I don't know if I'm capable of guarding this guy, and can somebody sub in, because I don't want my guy to score. He just anything for the team. I said, get your butt out there. I mean, this isn't an option. You're out there. He knows what he needs to do mentally and stuff, and I wasn't going to pull him out, but he's looking out for the team going, hey, I think a better guy might be a better defender this next possession, because we need to have a stop. And a kid comes to me and tells me that, and then I get to make the decision after that. But that tells you the kind of kids that they are, is they want what's best for the team. So, but Kelvin, we got those other 2 guys tonight, one of those kind of things too, where we have to have them this weekend. So, if it's to go to the national tournament game, we might be playing them tonight, but probably not. Anyone else? All right, thanks again for coming. I think we're next Monday again.